Welcome to this event, Turning a New Leaf, a look into the future. A green leaf year of Lappeenranta and Gabrovo is ending. We must look into the future. The questions arise. How can we solve the climate crisis globally? And can we do it even ourselves? Today, in this seminar, sent from the city of Lappeenranta, we hear some latest highlights how we are solving the global challenges. We have the best speakers today for this topic. Scientists, experts, politicians, and the cities. I strongly believe that we have the excellent seminar here today, and I'm happy that you are joining this. The speakers we have gathered here today prove us that the role of the front-runner cities is more and more important in the future. My name, by the way, is Ilkka Räsänen. I'm the environmental director of the city of Lappeenranta and the program leader of the Green Leaf Year. The first speaker comes all the way from the top of the Commission. We can hear from the Commissioner himself about the possibilities to solve the global challenges. Now, from Brussels, Mr. Virgilius Sinkevicius, the Commissioner of the Environment, Oceans and Fisheries.
Chairman Koskenranta, Chairman Kunev, Mayor Jarva, and Mayor Christova, ladies and gentlemen, I can only say congratulations. Congratulations to Lappeenranta and to Gabrovo for your outstanding performances as the EU Green Leafs of 2021. When you put in your applications, nobody expected such a difficult year. But you rose to the challenge, and despite the complications, you have both acted as a truly green ambassadors. You engaged not just with your own citizens, but with other cities across the EU. And you lived up to your ideals in full. Lappeenranta organized numerous events. You constantly promoted the role of a greener city, and you engaged with citizens to accelerate the green transition. Various elements stood out: the strong focus on achieving carbon neutrality by 2030, and the ambitious zero waste targets set out at the city level, which are fully in line with the EU zero pollution ambition. Gabrovo, too, had an outstanding year. The level of citizen engagement was always inspiring, and the contribution of the younger generations was especially impressive, above all in the past few months. And perhaps best of all, you both worked closely together, exchanging best practices to drive the green transition on the ground. That's the European way, achieving sustainability together. When I say it's European way, it's also the way of the European Green Deal. The deal is a plan to harness the collective ability of the European Union to transform our economy and society, to lead the way to climate neutrality and zero pollution as we transition to a circular economy in harmony with nature. Despite the pandemic, we also took major steps to deliver on these objectives in the past 12 months. In May, we adopted the Zero Pollution Action Plan with a clear vision for 2050. A European vision where the pollution of air, water and soil is reduced to levels that are no longer harmful. We spelled out the steps to get there. By 2030, we aim to reduce the health impacts of air pollution by more than 55%. We want 30% less people disturbed by transport noise by the same date, and municipal waste reduced by half. In July, we set out Fit for 55, the EU plan to cut emissions by 55% by 2030, opening the path to climate neutrality by the middle of the century. So it's been a very busy year for us all. And of course, 2022 will be equally busy. Many cities are already stepping up their action on environmental problems, and green capitals and green leaves are doing more than most. Your enthusiasm and your willingness to change are an example to us all. And there is no there is so much to do. There are urgent crises to solve: the climate, biodiversity and pollution crisis. We need to act fast, and we need to act with conviction. The Commission will continue to work with cities, especially under the Green City Accord. That way we can help step up local action in the areas that really matter: on air, noise, water, nature, the circular economy and waste. Congratulations to Lappeenranta for signing the accord. I take this opportunity to call on all mayors of green capitals and green leaves to follow your example. Green cities are the engines that put our society on the path to a greener future. Congratulations once again to both cities for their tireless efforts this year. I wish you all the best for 2022 and of course for today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, for your kind words and encouraging plans for the future. The next speaker is Director in the Sitra Foundation, Mari Pantsar. Mari Pantsar leads the Sustainability Solutions themes at Sitra. She steers the strategy of the theme and is responsible for ensuring that all activities related to its direct Finland towards a more ecologically sustainable and competitive society. Mari has about 20 years experience of managerial tasks in the development of clean tech and circular economy business in private and public sector and on several companies' boards. I know personally Mari, and I know that she is a strong actor in climate policy in Finland and globally. She will speak today. Do we still have time to make changes? Let's hear Mari's presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to take part in this event where the city of Lappeenranta celebrates its European Green Leaf Award year's achievements. But dear fellow humans, when we are today looking at the status of our planet, we do not have too many reasons to celebrate. We are facing a climate emergency and sixth mass extinction. I want to ask you, do you still have hope? When I was a child, we used to play a game called the Tumbling Tower. In that game, players remove wooden blocks from the tower one at a time until the tower tumbles down. The one who pulls out the last block loses. Similarly, we could say that humanity is playing a sort of tumbling tower with planet Earth. We are extracting more and more fossil fuels from the ground, and our actions are erasing species from this planet hundreds or even thousands of times faster than the average across the past 10 million years. Today, up to 1 million plant and animal species face extinction, many within decades, because of human activities. So we are removing block after block after block from the tower of life, satisfied when the collapse does not take place on our turn. But unlike the tumbling tower from my childhood, the tower of life won't collapse in one go. No, the tower of life does not tumble down. It crumbles slowly, losing resilience, losing stability, and we are already seeing the change. The world we are heading towards, the future where we keep on pulling out blocks of life is a dangerous one, an unstable one with growing inequality. In the future we are heading towards, we will have exceeded our carbon budget by far by 2050. We will have likely hit +2 degrees warming and will be heading for higher and higher global temperatures in coming decades. We will be exposing several 100 million more people to climate-related risks. How many more lives will we lose to scorching summers, suffocating smog, and spreading diseases. We will be experiencing devastating wildfires, intensifying cyclones, and rising floods at increasing rates. A good question is, who will have enough money to rebuild their homes after natural disasters, and who will be left without a home? Who will have a chance to move to a safer place, and who will have no place to go? We will be facing a future where food security is compromised due to increasing drought, heavy rains, and deteriorating ecosystems. And, of course, in the end of the day, we humans will be paying the price. For example, the value of pollination is estimated to be over 150 billion euros a year, and we cannot replace pollinators with robots we have developed, even we are so proud of all magical technologies we have created. The future we are heading towards is one where we keep pretending that life as we know it can go on. We keep pretending that although life around of us is changing, we humans are above it all. We think that we are so wise and we are so strong that we can challenge the nature around us. Actually, we believe that nature is created for us and we can utilize as much of it as possible without any consequences. We actually keep pretending that our economies could thrive in a future where disasters keep snapping at our heels. The world we are heading towards is not the one I want to hand to future generations. This is not the world I hope my daughter and her children would need to live in. But nor does it have to be. We at the Finnish Innovation Fund Sitra believe that the future of humanity is still in our own hands. We can and we must change course. The world we can build, the future where we start placing blocks back into the tower of life, is a prosperous one. It is a safe one and it is a fair one. In the future we will likely reach 1.5 degrees warming before 2050. However, by 2050, global mean temperatures will slowly begin to drop. In this future, we will learn that change is inevitable, a possibility for a future where all of us can thrive. All of us, meaning all of us people, but also all other forms of life. The voices of polluters will be overpowered by people coming together and calling for change. Our leaders will be brave enough to make the decisions that are necessary. Brave enough to open their ears to the scientific community and set boundaries for our societies that respect the ecological limits of our planet. In this future, we will create plans how to survive the changing planet. We will make sure biodiversity is able to recover and help us adapt. We will protect and restore mangrove forests to protect us from floods. And we will fill our cities with green and blue to keep them cooler during hot spells. In addition, our cities will be rebuilt for citizens instead for cars, and children can play in the cities when we establish new parks there. We will also learn new skills to create societies that regenerate nature and draw carbon from the atmosphere instead of emitting more and more carbon dioxide. Skills to become makers of the future and not fossils of yesterday. In this future, overconsumption will be a plague of yesterday and circular economy, the new way to run things. In the future circular economy, we have succeeded in eliminating waste and pollution, and we use materials wisely, and we respect resources that the nature gives us. In the circular economy, we succeed in decoupling use of natural resources from our experienced well-being. We understand that overconsumption and buying all the time new stuff does not bring us happiness and well-being. No, we finally understand that happiness comes from clean, diverse nature and close and loving people around us. Instead of owning cars, washing machines and books, many of us will rely more on sharing and renting. And instead of buying new products, we use more products as services, and this makes our daily lives easier in many ways. We will value and take care of the materials and products we have through maintenance and repair. In this future, we will move more, but in a cleaner way. We will eat healthier and we will avoid lung-destructing air pollution. In that future, we don't need to be afraid of new pandemics that arise from nature loss. We will also change our taxation system so that we really tax more what we want less. And this is emissions and activities causing nature loss. We will also tax less what we want more, and this is work and entrepreneurship. We will phase out fossil fuels and replace them with renewable energy, and this will lead to cleaner air to breathe. It will create millions of new cleaner jobs to the world. The change will be fast, but controlled and predictable, and people most affected by change will be supported, and no one is left behind. The governments take care that no one needs to be afraid of losing his or her job. And maybe most importantly, in this future, no child, teenager, parent, adult or elderly would need to fear for the future of their only home. So I want to ask you again, do you still have hope? I have hope. I believe we all have hope because the future does not happen. The future is created by the actions we take today. This crisis is not for the coming generations to tackle. This is our time to shine, and we all have a role to play. So my final question is, what will be your next step?
That was the words of Mari Pantsar, the director in Sitra Foundation. Do we still have hope? Quite many questions rise. Our next speaker is Anne Toppinen from the Helsinki University. One of the big challenges in climate mitigation is how to reduce emissions from housing and buildings. Therefore, the following presentation is held by Anne Toppinen. She has worked since 2008 as a professor in forest economics and business at the University of Helsinki. Since August 2018, she has been a director of the Helsinki Institute for Sustainability Sciences, HELSUS. She is currently a PI in a Strategic Research Council-funded consortium called The Carbon Home, which is focusing on socially equitable climate-wise housing to reduce the climatic impacts of Finnish housing and construction. Anne, you should be connected with us by Zoom. Are you there? We are a little bit ahead of our schedule by surprise. So
I am in the same room as Talasmo, so I don't know if you can hear me.
yes, we can hear you pretty well.
Ahead of our schedule.
Okay.
So you can go ahead, please.
One more technical minute. I will need to unmute my phone. So And hopefully the screen sharing will also work out. Can you kindly confirm that you are seeing my slides and hear me well?
Well, we can hear you as well, but the slides are not visible at the moment.
Can you kindly confirm that you can hear me well and see my slides?
Well, there's lag always in the Zoom connections, but
all right.
Then
let's get started.
But wait a second.
The topic of my talk today is the future of decarbonization of built environment. So we are taking this approach to sustainability from the perspective of a different type of living environments, mostly here in Finland, but with a two-sided focus, the focus on suburban living and also the rural environments. And I'm talking on behalf of our Strategic Research Council project, the Carbon Home, as was speaked just a minute ago. Just to give you a few facts, the built environment is indeed responsible for a fairly big amount of energy consumption, carbon emissions, and as well as high as 50% of the utilization of the materials, and also a very heavy water footprint. And these figures are from European Union level. In Finland, we are facing a warming climate, and the experts in the Finnish climate panel are warning us that this will increase not only the temperatures on average level, but also the risks of heavy and slanting rains and flooding. And these effects can be especially damaging to the infrastructure and built environment in urban context. Also, the Finnish climate panel in its fairly recent report warns us that the implementation of adaptation policies in Finland must be speeded up. But if we go down to the household level, the question is climate change actually treating us in a different manner? And are there some households that are more vulnerable to climate policies than others? And what should we think about it? So in our project, in this Carbon Home project, we are approaching climate-wise housing for the future from the 4 different angles. We, of course, would like to underline the importance of improving the energy efficiency in a current and future building. We would also like to point out that whenever possible, the renewable energy should be used to substitute fossil-based energies as a source of warming and heating. Then the third aspect is the lower embodied carbon materials. And in this aspect, I will talk a little bit more about one case example coming from our research project, where we are analyzing especially important and local raw material that is wood, to be used in especially urban construction. And fourthly, whatever the households or us individuals decide to do, that has definitely an impact on the emissions and material consumption of the living and housing. So how broad and how large are our houses? What is the kind of average temperatures that we want to aspire? Is there any possibilities that we kind of downscale our values also, that we do not consume so much based on the housing choices that we do have? So those are the interesting 4 type of questions that this big project will try to tackle. The publicity. There is already, as was mentioned in a previous speaker's side, that there is a high awareness on the climate change-induced risks, and also that there could be challenges to housing and building sector. And we already have taken a number of different steps to improve the energy efficiency for new residential buildings in particular. And also the adoption of lower embodied carbon materials. Those are part of the government programs since already several years. So those are, in my opinion, some still continuing opportunities for decarbonizing the future housing stock. It's also good to remember that climate events are likely to affect the operational costs of people living in residential housing. And this increased perceived risk on the operating cost and the maintenance cost. To tackle these questions, we did an interesting two-country survey, and I'm going to share with you some of the insights coming from that study that's currently underway in our project. So we collected data from both Finland and Sweden regarding the citizens' climate beliefs, and the data was collected in June 2021 from approximately 1,000 respondents from both of the countries. And here in this slide, you can observe that there are indeed quite strong similarities between the two neighboring countries on how the respondents, the citizens, essentially how they see climate change as a real and serious issue, and there is not so much difference in that. And those who seem to deny that the climate change is a real and a serious issue, that is a fairly small majority based on our study. Finns are slightly more agreeing that climate change is a human cost also, but I don't think that these are so relevant characteristics. But in any case, we see quite a lot of dichotomous situations, not so much between the countries, but also between these factors of what are the origins still. How about the future? In our survey, we analyzed that how a citizen believes on the effects of climate change and extreme weather will kind of materialize in their own countries. So they were asked to answer based on their own local perceptions, not thinking about the other neighboring countries. And what we can see quite interestingly here is that if you are focusing on the low embodied carbon and for example, the wood material embedded in building exteriors that could perhaps be the most vulnerable to the changing climate, we see that a fairly big amount of people are strongly agreeing that that will curb actually the appeal of using wood. So that's something to consider towards the future as well. So it's not only the positive sides by increasing the carbon stock, but also risks perceived from the maintenance side. Furthermore, the respondents seem to believe that the extreme weather conditions have an effect on the appeal of wood in overall wood in construction materials. And finally, this last aspect is also quite interesting. And here we also see slight differences between the two countries, that if the citizens are addressing the question of how carbon is stored in wood building materials is seen as an attractive one, I think the Finnish respondents are in this aspect more favorable towards the use of wood, which is a kind of surprising fact, since we do have a lot more ongoing projects around using wood in urban multi-story construction applications in Sweden rather than in Finland. Okay, so coming towards the concluding side of my talk, I would like to address still some challenges and also opportunities that we can observe in terms of the future housing and building and the decarbonizing aspects. So quite importantly, there are differences in demographics and also local conditions that have an impact on housing values. So what is the price of housing per square meter and the attractiveness of housing choices overall? And that could also have an impact in the future towards how individual households or housing companies can attract loans for financing energy renovations. In some areas, that a gap seems to be closing in a little bit frightening way. So not so easy opportunities there. What we also have observed in quite a heated discussion ongoing in public here in Finland, but also partly in Sweden, that has been happening, that the material suppliers do not seem to find so much common ground. There is a kind of antagonist situation between wood building material supporters and those that are more in favor of using, for example, traditional concrete-based solutions in multi-story applications. So these polarized attitudes are perhaps a bit the reason for concern rather than uniting the forces to build more low-carbon future housing. And thirdly, the drivers of segregation, those trends are there and they will be also in the future. So we as researchers are slightly concerned if and whether the decarbonization and the climate policies that are targeted toward the built environment could actually be providing a new round of segregation. So that could kind of provide more opportunities for the wealthy ones and less opportunities to participate and engage for those that are, for example, living in rental apartments or areas with a lowering housing value prices. But then again, on the positive side, we have a lot to leverage from not only the national level ambitious climate strategies, but also cities like city of Lappeenranta in this case, how they put their ambition and they are really effective networks like the Hinku network also here operating in Finland that have an ability to boost and maybe spur a little bit the municipal level strategies and decision making towards lower carbon solutions in future housing. And of course, the construction industry per se is also facing a lot of pressure, but also seeing an opportunity and pledge to contribute to the greening of its activities. So to put it shortly here, and the project is just 1 year in running and we have 5 more years hopefully to go. And we will in particular put our efforts to studying how citizens' climate attitudes, socio-demographic characteristics and the current living practices are reflected their housing preferences and also choices in a current day, but also toward the future. And this is our key task in the project Decarbon Home. So thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to be able to share these insights with you today.
So thank you, Anne Toppinen, for your interesting presentation. It was great pleasure to have you here with us today. We will direct our thoughts to the next speaker. Dr. Riina Salmimies is the Dean of the School of Engineering Science at LUT University. LUT University, with 1,100 staff members and 5,500 students, addresses global challenges of clean water, air and energy with renewable business and industry at the core. The university, with its campuses in Lappeenranta, the carrier of Greenleaf Award, and in Lahti, the European Green Capital of 2021, is among the top 300 universities in the world. Dean Riina Salmimies is here on live, and her presentation is called Life on this Planet and Beyond. Well, we discussed about this theme before. Should we take more traditional theme or this one? But I think that this suits well for the future thoughts and otherwise with her personality as well. So this is not what really expected from the university that will solve global challenges, isn't it? Or what? Well, I'm really excited to hear more. Please, Riina, give your presentation.
Thank you so much, and very much thank you, Director Räsänen, for the very kind introduction. I'm privileged to be here today to partake in this seminar in the very beautiful city of Lappeenranta, where we are taking a look to the future. The presenters were asked to reflect upon their vision for 2050. That's almost 30 years from now, and For me, it's practically another lifetime. This is a rather difficult task also for a person with scientific education, because we are taught to rely on the best available knowledge that we have, and to reflect 30 years from now is something where we don't necessarily have the foundations for yet. Nonetheless, I'm exhilarated to be here today and share with you what I see going forward 30 years into the future. I hope to, at least briefly, touch upon the role of universities as institutions building paths for others to follow, even when we venture onto environments that we might have necessarily never been in. With that being said, let's keep in mind that history has shown us that these forecasts typically fail. So instead of me trying to provide you with as exact and accurate answer to what the future looks like in 2050, I will try to, at least to some extent, stimulate your imagination and hopefully leave you with some thoughts after this talk. So you already heard that I work for LUT University. Beyond the obvious of having a campus in Lappeenranta, where we are currently at, the university is a leading university in Finland and internationally, combining business and technology to what we think is re-engineering this world in order to address the sustainability challenges that we are facing. We hope that when coming to work every day, the work that we do in terms of the scientific research, as well as the educational activities of the university, would have a purpose, an impact in society. It would be meaningful for people as well as industry. And that seems to be a driving motivation for a majority of our staff members to come to work every single day. That is the motivation for me as well. And this is also the reason why I was very excited to have this opportunity to share with you a vision for the future. The university, as already heard, focuses on specific topics addressing global challenges. That is why we are here today. That is why the city of Lappeenranta was awarded the Green Leaf Award. We look at clean energy, clean water, and clean air, remembering that always at the heart is the sustainable renewal of business and industry. We believe that in collaboration with companies, working together with companies, taking scientific findings forward into business and into practice, we can create systemic changes in this world, and by those means actually address the sustainability challenge that we are facing. When talking about 2050 or sustainability in general, we cannot avoid addressing climate change. That has been addressed by several of the other speakers as well. And touching upon climate change, we obviously need to identify that the world that we are living in is currently burning. We see that in news, we see bushfires, we see extreme temperatures, increase in extreme temperatures across the globe, and we see unprecedented loss of biodiversity. All these speak on behalf of climate change having a significant impact in our societies and for the planet that we are living on. Additionally, air pollution was also addressed by several of the other speakers. We see people protecting themselves using masks not from the pandemic, not from the COVID virus, but rather from air pollution across the world. There are millions of people, tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people affected by air pollution, and we do need to address this as well in connection to climate change. Why I have hope? I believe that by 2050, already far earlier than 2050, we will see a major change, a major transformation in our energy system. Why I believe this is because a lot of the researchers at the university already work with this. The companies that we collaborate with work with this. And I do believe that the increased electrification, that then of course drives new battery technology development, as well as the power-to-X solutions that the university researchers and companies are working with, together with new nuclear power solutions, will transform the energy system that as we know it. We will no longer, by 2050, be reliant on fossil fuels, but we will have, if not fully, at least to a very large extent, a renewable energy system. I don't think this is very surprising for any of the listeners here today or the people online, because we are already seeing this development. Nonetheless, when talking about life on this planet, I think it's extremely important that we address the importance of climate change and what are the ways by which we can, through technology, address the challenge. Even with the changes or the transformation of the energy system, we are still left with multiple dimensions of the sustainability challenge. And I'm not talking necessarily about the social challenges or even the economic challenges, but rather the ecological challenges that we are facing. We all know that we are over-consuming the natural resources that we have on this planet. With the current population that we have, it would require close to 2 Earths, or at least 2 Earths worth of natural resources in order to satisfy the current demand. With this being said, we know that the way of life, our current way of life, is not sustainable on this planet. And we have to keep in mind that there's pretty much half of this world that is yet to develop onto the level of which we are used to in Western societies. So with this, I'm concerned over the raw materials equation. So how do we satisfy the demand for different types of raw materials considering the way of life that we have? With the increased consumption of natural resources, we tend to see increased generation of waste as well. Circular economy has been addressed several times by the other speakers, but despite the efforts towards a circular economy, the raw material equation still remains unresolved. Coming to sort of a conclusion with respect to the natural resources, I have a proposal for 2050, or at least for the path towards 2050. I do believe that for the sake of planet A, we do need to intensify our efforts towards space technology, space exploration, and further colonization of other home planets. Some people say if we do this, it means that we've given up, but that's not true. It is for the sake of this planet. We need to identify that there are too many of us, and we need to find ways of sustaining this life, not necessarily on this planet, within the boundaries of this ecosystem, but beyond them. We are explorers. I mean people, the humankind. We've always explored different environments for the sake of curiosity, not necessarily for the sake of leaving this planet into a pile of rubble and looking for the next one in order to do the same thing again, but rather because of our adventurous spirit. We will go beyond those boundaries because it's possible. What is the role of universities then? Looking at my university for the past 2 decades or so, we've focused on for example, on the treatment of wastewater. So we look at industrial and municipal wastewaters. We consider how can we treat this water in order to discharge it into our natural environment without the decline of that natural environment. Because we all need water, 2/3 of the human body is made of water, it is extremely important for us to maintain the pristine of our natural environment, because that is what provides us the water. So the natural cycle is extremely important, and we do need to address that through technology as well, because we do need water in multiple different communal and societal activities. Over the past 10 years or so, we've seen a development where we've entered the realm of atmospheric resources. So let's talk about CO2 that we release into the atmosphere. We can just capture that, we can make new products out of that, and we can by then replace some of the fossil-based materials and products that we have in society. But additionally, by employing technology, whether that is end of pipe in the industry or other means, we can reduce air pollution and obviously then again maintain the very good air quality that at least in Finland we enjoy. But this is extremely important for us to now start looking not necessarily just the soil and the water, but also our atmosphere. And I'm not talking about climate change here, but rather the quality of the atmosphere, the quality of the air that we are breathing. If we then look at space exploration, going to ISS, going to the moon, going to Mars, it is pretty much the same thing that we need. In order for humans to survive in space, we need water, we need air, and then finally we need energy, because everything else we can pretty much produce out of the raw materials that we have available. We can synthesize food by the use of bacteria. We can synthesize proteins for consumption, so that's the food that we can use. But the water and the air, those are basic human needs, and when we go into what researchers describe as aggressive environments or hostile environments, we need to make sure that we can survive. And by those means, we can finally then start building colonies, building stations, whatever the future might hold for us. But I do believe that by 2050, so 30 years from now, considering the development over the past 30 years, this will become a reality. And it is necessary if we wish to save this planet and still keep on living the way we want to live. Why this is so very interesting for science is because the fundamental phenomena are the same. So if we can actually do this on Earth, we can do it on Mars, for example, or on the moon. The essential differences are, for example, gravity. So you need to just take something out of the equation, see how the basic phenomena, the fundamentals work in that environment, and you can just redesign the things that you need. There's an interesting challenge. I think it was a NASA engineer that said the pack that the astronauts carry on their backs, that cannot be made smaller. That is where they hold all the life-sustaining technology, and that cannot be made smaller. I think from an engineering perspective, challenge accepted. We should then make it smaller. If they say we can't, then let's just do it. Have student projects, they can just take it into pieces in one of our labs at the university and redesign it. I'm pretty sure we can make it smaller. We just need to try. Finally, then when we venture on to other worlds, so other home planets, we must at some point address interplanetary supply chains. So that's pretty much industrial engineering and management on a planetary scale. So how do people and raw materials move from one planet to another? What is it that is essential for us to actually transport from a logistics perspective as well, in order for us to create the rest of the stuff that we need? Obviously, there are planets very similar to Earth, and those might be very good new home planets, but they're very far away. We cannot reach them at this stage yet, so probably have to look at planets that are closer to our current home planet in order to just build the systems before we can actually venture on further. But that brings about, again, a lot of interesting research questions. How would this work? What are the economics of it? What are the logistics of it? What are the basic necessities if we venture on beyond the borders of our current planetary ecosystem? With that being said, I believe that whatever are the challenges that we face in the future, those can be solved through science, through technology, and by incorporating a lot of different disciplines. I don't know if you know this, but we are seeking to expand our activities towards social sciences currently at the university, and I'm really hoping we get to do that because, again, to address sustainability from a multidimensional perspective, we would need that. With this, I hope that maybe at least today some of you become advocates of space exploration, because I do believe it is the way of the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I have now possibility to, Riina, please don't leave yet. So, give you one question. So, you are an applicant of the space program at the moment. Please take your mic. And so the space technology gives us solutions to survive in the Earth. And do you still think that humankind will move to the space in some day?
Okay, so twofold question. Does the development of space technology provide us tools for Earth? Yes, it does. I think this is why it makes sense to venture on to space as a context for research, because, for example, currently there are a lot of applications of what is called Earth observation data. So we have a lot of satellites orbiting the Earth, and we collect a lot of data from those satellites, and then the data is processed, for example, by computational engineers. And through that, we can gain insights, for example, where we have foreign species, like plants, that we need to destroy in order to uphold the ecosystem or restore the actual original ecosystem. Furthermore, you know, Velcro, the stuff that you have on your shoes, that was originally space technology. So a lot of the things that they develop for space exploration can be used in what I would call terrestrial applications as well. And if we look at, for example, the cleaning of air for the purpose of people, we have applications in ships and airplanes, places where we need to circulate something, whether that's water or air. So definitely. And what was the second question?
Do you still think that humankind will move to space someday?
I believe that part of the humankind will. We don't all need to go, if that somehow is your mind. But part of us, I think, should go in order to, first of all, promote interplanetary exploration, but also because of the sustainability challenge. I'm not at all convinced that we can solve the raw material equation because we are currently over-consuming our natural resources so much.
Yes, thank you, Riina.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, I have still a million questions, but no more time. This Lit University provides us solutions, food from air and fuels from air, which are quite astonishing, and all kind of circular economy solutions. But we must go on. The city of Kaprovo, many of you wonder why city of Kaprovo is here today, at least from Lappeenranta. But the city of Kaprovo is a joint winner of Greenleaf Award 2021. And the city of Kaprovo is the only city in the Central and Eastern Europe to have won the award in the condensed history. In the nomination, the European Commission assesses that the investment in energy efficiency, urban development, but also achievements in separate waste collection and campaigns among the citizens have been these reasons why Kaprovo has been selected the Greenleaf winner. We have the mayor Tanja Ristova online. I have written her before that I will ask now that can you hear me, but I just heard that she can't hear me, so we just give her presentation when it comes. So we have had an interesting year together. We have changed our experiences. It has been quite a challenge for both of us for the COVID. Especially Bulgaria has been severely suffered from the COVID lately. But I think anyway we are interested to hear what's going on in Kaprovo. After the Kaprovo's mayor speech, we have a video from the Kaprovo to see what it's like and how the Greenleaf year has been spent there. So you have been waiting, Tanja, there for the presentation. So please be ready and give your presentation.
Thank you, Ilka. Indeed, it was a very special year for our cities. Honorable Commissioner and Minister, dear friends from Lappeenranta, greetings from Gabrovo. I'm honored and delighted to be part of this event, marking the final countdown of our joint Green Leaf Year. This is a culminating moment in the green stories of our two cities. Despite the challenges of the global pandemic, we are here to connect, to exchange, and to learn from each other. For the citizens of Gabrovo, the Green Leaf Year is a tremendous occasion to reconnect with other European cities and to truly engage with the critical questions of universal importance and to showcase innovative and cutting-edge solutions to our global problems. As a platform, the Green Leaf Award brings together countries, international organizations, businesses, NGOs, researchers, and citizens in a common endeavor to generate new perspectives, inspire real-life solutions, and address the greatest challenges. For the last 12 months, we devoted ourselves to create a better city, more eco-friendly and more resilient. We connected minds to cultivate collaboration, partnership, and solidarity. These are the values that we foster, and they shape our collective priorities. Our collaborative strategies for environmental, social, and economic sustainability ended in a program marking small steps, but consisting of an overarching vision and ambition. We introduced a monitoring system. We developed intelligent solutions for smart containers. We reduced carbon emissions by replacing the rolling stock of public transport with ecological buses. The municipality gradually introduces energy management systems in our educational structures. We replaced the street lighting with new energy-efficient lamps. In June, Gabrovo joined the Covenant of Mayors with the commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and adhere to climate neutrality by 2050. As a mayor, I work to encourage the citizens of Gabrovo to reduce their personal carbon footprint by introducing electric scooters for personal transportation. More than 10,000 people gathered in the mountains near Gabrovo for the biggest eco-festival in the country. For 3 days, the air was full of positive vibes, uniting people of different ages and backgrounds for green, healthy, and back to the nature lifestyle. All European ambassadors represented in Bulgaria planted trees in a park of our city as a symbol of unity in the green transition process. In coherence with our goals, where policy meets people, we have the ambition to go further and become one of the 100 climate neutral and smart European cities by 2030, acting as an experimentation and innovation hubs to the other cities. These are only a few of the events, projects, and initiatives we were involved in our Green Leaf Year. The end of 2021 is the time when, thanks to all we have done and achieved, we laid the foundation for a healthier, safer, and more prosperous tomorrow. The Green Leaf Award was a transformational moment for Gabrovo, thanks to which we generated meaningful partnerships and dedicated ourselves to a greener and sustainable future. Now, let's turn to the future in person. The future that grows and develops, plants seeds and saplings so they can become trees with strong roots, full of life. A future that knows how to recycle and what a circular economy is. A future that deserves all our efforts and is full of commitment to create a better, safer, and healthier environment. We are the future! Thank you, and now enjoy our movie.
За мен ходенето в планината е свобода. Там е мястото, където мога да остана с себе си, с мислите си и да се радвам на живота такъв какъвто е.
Най-ценното предимство на Габрово е спокойствието. Имаме хубав Балкан, хубава природа, различни варианти за преходи, разходки.
Това е едно от най-важните неща за нас. Да сме навън, сред природата, с децата и така да дишаме чист въздух.
Най-зеленото в Габрово е това, че Господ ни е благословил с невероятна природа. Мястото, в което живеем, наистина е уникално и през повечето сезони ние наистина сме зелени. Сега обаче това, което трябва да се случи, е да започнем да мислим и действаме зелено.
И всъщност голямото предизвикателство за Габрово като град е как едновременно да бъде зелен град и да остане индустриален град, каквато е неговата традиция. Ние гостувахме на различни производства, които Невена си избра според вида отпадък, който генерират. Видяхме производствения процес и също така се запознахме с количеството отпадък и как те го рециклират, въобще какво правят с него. И си взехме малко от този отпадък, от който тя създаде двете скулптури. Едната е направена от пластмаса, а другата от текстил. Това са два обекта в двора на бившия текстилен техникум, създадени от художничката Невена Екимова в рамките на програмата Зелен лист. Това е детската зала на музея, град-градина, като модел на град, в който децата изпълняват различни дейности, вземат решения заедно. Всъщност най-важното послание, с което децата си тръгват, е, че града не е даденост. Той е такъв, какъвто ние искаме да бъде и той се променя според начина, по който му въздействаме.
Действията, които извършваме в нашето ежедневие, наистина носят зелен отпечатък и намаляват онзи вредният тъмен отпечатък и могат да ни превърнат в едно от местата в България, които успяват и да спечелят от този подход. Защото освен това, че е нужно да мислим, когато изхвърляме отпадъка, дали ще се качим в дизеловия си автомобил или ще повървим пеша или ще се качим в новите автобуси в нашия град, ние трябва да мислим и за това като предприемачи, какъв подход ще приложим и ще успеем ли да бъдем така добри предприемачи, както е характерно за габровци.
Тази къщичка е една смарт кофа за разделно събиране на отпадъци или на български казано умна кофа за разделно събиране на отпадъци. Тя е умна, защото е оборудвана с множество сензори, които предават информация на живо. Захранва се от слънчеви панели. И всъщност с нея може да бъде оптимизирано сметосъбирането и сметоизвозването. Първият прототип, който направихме е с две отделения. Едното от тях е за пластмасови бутилки, а другото е за метални кенчета. Като идеята е да се използва максимално обемът на кофите вътре.
Голяма част от лабораториите в технологичния парк работят в областта на еко- и енергоспестяващите технологии. Много от тези иновации водят до повишаване на енергийната ефективност на осветителни тела, например осветителни уредби. Единият уред измерва пространственото разпределение на излъчването на светлината от различните видове осветителни тела, което е много важно в редица случаи. Например, прожекторите за футболни стадиони, уличните осветителни тела, фаровете за автомобили. а другият уред изследва спектралното разпределение на излъчването на различните лампи, т.е. може да бъде определено наличието евентуално на опасна синя светлина в излъчването на лампите, начинът по който се влияе човешкият организъм на хормонално ниво в зависимост от спектъра на светлината на лампите, които се използват.
На територията на Габрово за последната година успяхме да инсталираме над 9 броя станции за качество на въздуха и както може да видите, повечето точки са в зелен цвят. Ние успяхме да постигнем почти пълно покритие на целия град. Всеки един гражданин на общината може да влезе в съответните системи и да проследи качеството на въздуха. Този проект, но и всички останали проекти на община Габрово в рамките на Зеленият лист допринесоха за промяна на менталитета в гражданите. Посещенията ни растат постоянно, гражданите влизат сутрин в приложението, проверяват какво е качеството на въздуха и това създава много сериозна ангажираност.
През тази година инвестирахме в един 3D принтер, който искаме да интегрираме в нашето производство, за да произвеждаме нови изделия с висока добавена стойност от отпадъка, индустриалния отпадък, който генерираме. Така вече започнахме да си произвеждаме резервни части за нашите машини, с които работим. Принтера работи с регранулат, а не с скъпо струващ филамент, тъй като се знае, че колкото повече се преработва един материал, толкова по-скъп става той. А по такъв начин с 3D принтирането ние удължаваме живота на материалите, които използваме в нашето производство.
И както си говорим за това, че габровци са пестеливи, не бива да забравяме, че някои от най-големите филантропи на 20 век се появяват тук и че града е създаден на базата на изключителна социална и културна грижа от богатите хора, които са живели тук.
Габрово наистина се променя към много по-хубаво място от преди и дава възможност на младите да се развиват и да започнат своя живот тук.
Аз си го обичам, той има един много специфичен дух, който е свързан с енергийната ефективност, по която работя и за това е така истинско удоволствие за мен да казвам, че съм габровец.
Габрово в бъдещето изглежда още по-зелено и дигитално. Комбинацията от двете ще е интересна.
Струва ми се, че най-голямото предизвикателство, за да стигнем до това бъдеще, е да се учим да живеем все по-добре заедно.
Най-важното и най-ценното, разбира се, това са хората. Те са безценният капитал на този град, защото те са упорити, защото те са целеустремени и защото винаги успяват да надмогнат трудностите и да намерят своя хоризонт.
Video. Thank you, Tanya. Oh, the microphone. So that was a lovely video, Tanya, and we were clapping hands here, if you didn't hear. Then we have greetings from Finnish government. We should have Emma Kari from the Ministry of Environment and Climate, but she got sick and she couldn't have time enough to make the video ready. So we hope a quick recovery for her. But we had another minister to have greetings for us and about the future. There will be Ville Skinnari, Government of Finland, the Minister of Development, Cooperation and Foreign Trade. So we'll see what Ville Skinnari has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's been very honored and a very pleasure to follow the progress of Lappeenranta when it comes to green transition, your commitment, your work as far as the Green Leaf Award this year and the work you have been doing. In my role as a Minister of Development and Trade, I obviously follow the global development, the European development, but also at the same time what's going on in the Nordics and what's going on in Finland. And it's been very inspiring to follow your work, especially in the situation in this world that the role of the cities, the role of the municipalities is in the very core of a successful implementation and mitigation of green transition. The Green Leaf Award has brought well-deserved attention to Lappeenranta's strategic focus on climate and the environment. And of course, for me, coming from Lahti, coming from the green capital of Europe, I'm particularly proud of deepening our relation at the domestic level, but also at the European level and at the global level. Because our own, very own university, Lappeenranta Lahti University, is paving the way for many, many solutions as far as research and development, but also as far as the user cases and the collaboration between the companies, private sector in general, and startups, because that's what we need in Europe and in the world. We need leverage, we need new kind of public-private partnerships that really apply and implement at the practical level. So in other words, both Lappeenranta and Lahti are at the very forefront of this development as far as the Finnish green know-how and as far as the European and global green know-how. The main themes for this year as far as Lappeenranta have been nature, water, green electrification and climate change. I really want to congratulate you for having those elements in place, because those are the key drivers of green transition at the global level. For the government, for Finland, it's crucial and obvious that we have to work on these elements further. But in this work, we need the European commitment. We need the Green Deal in place, and I'm so happy that European Union is ambitious. But at the same time, we have to understand how we implement and how we emphasize our policy making in order to make the best possible outcome as far as our ambitious goals. And those vehicles, Finland is keen to provide, and those vehicles are at the local level mainly when it comes to Lappeenranta, when it comes to Lahti, when it comes to practical solutions and the social dimension, in other words, the inclusion of people, especially young people, to really be inclusive in this work. I really know Lappeenranta not just because of ice hockey, but also because of the commitment of collaboration and friendship. So thank you for your warmness, your kind approach, if you like, when it comes to partnerships and when it comes to practical cooperation. I would like to say finally a few words about the water and energy technologies, including hydrogen. Finland is a forerunner in forest technologies and forest management, and basically everything when it comes to forests. That's self-obvious, and Finland is now working not just with the European Union, but with the third countries, including Russia, Brazil, Canada, in order to implement true solutions as far as forest sector and the carbon sinks are concerned. But the water management is something from Lappeenranta and in Lappeenranta that I want to focus, because the world is very hungry and eager for water infrastructure solutions. And it's not just the infrastructure as far as the structures, but it's the implementation. And therefore, I really encourage you to work at the practical level with the foreign ministry, with our embassies, because we have to deliver and we can deliver. Second one is the clean energy, the energy technologies and electrification. The electrification is the key now for everything. And therefore, it's so important that we work together with the leading companies in Finland, in the Nordics, but most importantly, we have the R&D, the research and development platform in place, because we have to provide more and acquire more companies to Lappeenranta, to Lahti, and Finland in general. My aim is to build up 10,000 more companies for Finland and new jobs with these key sectors as energy and technologies. And thirdly, of course, the climate change in general. Lahti is going to be carbon neutral by 2025. Finland is going to be carbon neutral by 2035. Those are important figures, but the most important thing is that we have the vehicles in place for the other cities in Europe, for the other cities in the world, that they can also achieve those targets. And that's why the carbon neutrality roadmaps initiated by our government with 13 different business sectors are so important vehicles, also at the city level, because those we can scale up at the global level. And I really like to work with you in Lappeenranta further, with the academia, but also with the companies, because with the investments by the companies and the public sector, we really make the change. But thank you for everything. Let's keep up the good work and have a good Christmas and even next year with all the solutions, not just challenges in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ville Skinnari. And we have still one more speaker here from the city of Lappeenranta. She's Sanna Koskenranta, the chairman of the city council. Please come here and give your presentation.
Thank you, Ilkka. I think this is a short speech, not presentation, but let me try. And thank you, Ville Skinnari, for your warm, inspiring words for us. I'm so proud of my hometown, Green Lappeenranta. Work that has been done here is a demonstration of competence, looking to the future, and the ability to find solutions to even difficult challenges. Today's actions will define the lives of future generations, not just about nature or the environment, but about life in general. That is why we need responsibility. Responsibility from politicians, responsibility from experts, responsibility from everyone. It is up to the actions of today's people to create the circumstances for life in 2050. Dear friends, in Lappeenranta, we want to build success stories for the people, for the companies, for the future. Success stories come true when we turn a new leaf and continue to work for biodiversity and green reality. I want to thank all of you who have made this Green Leaf Year possible. Our city needs achievements like this. It also needs experts like you to inspire all the residents involved. Without faith, enthusiasm, and cooperation, we have no vision for the future, and vision we must build. Vision where the conditions for life will continue for the future generations. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sanna. I couldn't agree more of your words. This event is soon about the end, but now we'll see a short video of Lappeenranta Greenleaf Year. This video has been made by the same group that brought us to the Greenleaf Award. So Kulttuuritila Nuijamies is responsible for this video. Let's roll.
Creating a green image is easy. You need beautiful nature pictures, great camera rides, and empty promises.
Boys, that's not how it goes now. There must be something else behind the promises. Have you heard that the city of Lappeenranta is one of the greenest cities in Europe? Let's take a look at the place where there are actions behind the words. So, boys, how was the year?
So humble thanks. Quite a thrilling year. So much actions despite the tricky COVID situation. Now I want to thank all of you, first of all speakers, Mayor of Gabrovo, Mayor Kimmo Jarva, Sanna Koskeranta, Minister Ville Skinnari, Commissioner, and all of you have attended this event today and at this venue hall or online. Well, the actions will continue today at the different parts of Lappeenranta. You will find them at greenreality.fi called events or tapahtumat. So I will say bye-bye for this event and thanking you humbly again and see you later in different actions. Bye-bye.